quick interruption to invite you to my new hands-on workshop. We're going to plan your best year yet. Yeah, we're going to sync up comms, fundraising, and marketing for a bird's eye view of your entire plan for the year. This is for you if you're worried about donor fatigue. This is for you if you're saying to yourself, how do we attract more donors and supporters? How do we increase visibility without tiring and burning everybody out? Go to splendidcourses.com/plan. Spots are limited because we have an intimate group coming in this hands-on workshop. You're going to leave with my template completely filled out and ready to rock. Welcome to the Purpose and Profit Club podcast for nonprofit leaders, mission-driven creatives, and social entrepreneurs. Get ready to stop dreaming and start doing. Here, ideas become action. We prioritize purpose and profit. You ready? Let's go. Well, hey, changemakers. Today we're going to talk about underestimating. So where this shows up for you personally, where this may show up in your organization, and how you are underestimating your donor prospects, your donors, your social street teamers, your potential partners, sponsors, and just where I'm seeing this through line showing up for a lot of organizations. So I was at the gym this morning and I was doing a couple of different weight machines that I haven't done in a minute. And I found myself forgetting like my set point on how much weight I can lift on a given machine. Okay. So I like hop on this machine to do, I don't know, like chest press or something. And I'm like, oh, is this like something that I do 50 on, or am I like closer to 100 on this? Like I just forgot. And so I sort of would meet in the middle and try something. I'd maybe try 70 and go, oh no, I'm actually capable of more. Right. And that happened for me on several different machines this morning of forgetting what my set point was on each pace or each machine. And also just finding that I was more likely to underestimate what I was capable of in that given situation than overestimate. Okay. Now, each time it was easy or not, tomato face inducing enough, I would increase the weight. Right. And I can't remember if I told this story, but a while back, I hired a coach to help me, do some weightlifting and learn some new equipment at the gym. And he was great. And then he moved. And then I got a replacement coach. And right away, I was like, oh, I think we're just not a fit. There wasn't that motivational piece. There just wasn't that alignment in understanding what my goals were. And I could kind of tell. And one of the biggest red flags, I think this happened on like the first day, but once it happened again and again and again, was he kept underestimating me. So we'd go to, whatever machine, and he'd start the weight at like 30. And I'm like, I would look at him and go, I can go, we can go up. And then he'd go 40. And I'm like, no. This one I'm up to like 115 on now. And he'd be like, oh, okay. And it was like this very sort of passive, like not even, it was just like, huh. And I want a coach, whether it's in the gym or in the brain, right? I want a coach who's literally motivating me and waiting for me over here and calling me in. Christina, I got you. Let's go. Let's go together. Come. And when my coach is underestimating me, not only am I not getting that from them, I'm actually the kind of experience of that is the opposite of what I want, because I feel like I'm starting to like phone it in, or I'm just not even seeing what I'm capable of. And a really great coach nudges you forward and also shows you what you're capable of. So that happened, and I was like, this is not a fit. So there was more along the way, which is a story for another day. But for today, I want to talk about this idea of where you're underestimating yourself and the power of actually overestimating yourself. Okay. So the first example that I see a lot of organizations internally and a lot of just people, humans in the world, is time. We typically think tasks take way more time than they actually take. So anyone who is a procrastinator, anyone who has ever crammed a book that they had to read in high school and then wrote the report the night before, right, knows, or like, that paper or whatever it was, that looming task, that project, that report that you had to turn in, whether it's in school, whether it's in college, whether it's for an employer, and you waited, and then suddenly you busted it out like in the last 24 hours before it was due. How did you do that? How did you bust it out? Right? It didn't take you less time than it would have taken you 3 weeks ago. It's simply that it like lit a fire under your ass. And so you got it done. So I find that people typically overestimate short-term projects and how long they're going to take. My brain loves to default to do this with my taxes. My brain loves to just be like, oh, taxes take hours and hours and weeks and weeks and months, and they're terrible. When in fact, it's like less than 6 hours for me to work with my accountant to do them, right? And it's really, really important where you find that this shows up for you, we're actually overestimating how long time will take. I used to tell my clients this, that a project, a task will take as much time as you give yourself. Let that just sink in. Meaning, if you tell yourself, I'm going to create an online fundraiser for this social holiday that's coming up, it's happening in 2 months, 2 months from today. So I'm going to give myself 2 months to do it, right? How long will it take? It will take you 2 months. You'll dip in, you'll dip out, you'll do some of it, you'll put it on the back burner, then you'll really do it like the last 2 weeks before it's actually happening. Versus, I'm going to plan this social fundraiser. It's happening in 2 months, and I'm going to have the entire campaign mapped out. I'm going to have the fundraising page created. I'm going to have the story and the content done and ready to go. And it's going to be sitting complete, ready for me to press play on for when that social holiday happens. And I will complete that part of that in 2 weeks. It will take me 2 weeks. Or if you've ever had, for me, I teach a lot of webinars. I teach a lot of live trainings. So if I have to create a webinar, I have to create the content, I have to create the deck, I have to create any offers that I'm promoting in it, right? That's like three core pieces. If I give myself 2 months to do it, it takes 2 months. If I give myself, this is what I do now, by the way, I give myself probably an hour to actually ideate. I'll like brainstorm, I'll write it down, I write analog, what do I want the framework to be? And then I will give myself 2-hour blocks to create the content. And that's it. That's it. It could take 10 hours, but if I give myself 5, I get it done in 5. And the asterisk, the caveat to this is you have to be willing for it to be imperfect, right? You have to be willing for it to be imperfect. If you're searching for perfection on this fundraiser, on this storytelling piece, on this webinar, on this pitch deck, it will take forever. You don't have forever, right? You don't have forever. You're on a mission to impact millions. If you want to impact millions, don't wait for forever on some sort of long-ended deadline, right? Okay, so time. Ask yourself, where am I overestimating time? I've heard lately in a couple of one-on-one calls, a couple of coaching calls, like this, oh, I have so much to do. It's going to take a lot of time. And this came up actually in the club recently, in the Purpose and Profit Club, my group coaching program, where I could feel it. I could feel the sigh. And I knew what this person was referring to that would take a lot of time. And I know it actually was very similar to what I just outlined for my storytelling, which is, or creating a webinar. I'm like, that's an hour's worth of work. But what it really takes, more than the actual ideation and writing this down, is decisive action and willing for it to be imperfect. We get it to 80, 90%, and we go, and we go, and we go. We're scrappy that way, okay? So ask yourself about the time piece. Ask yourself, where am I underestimating my capability? Ooh, that's a big one, because I've been seeing this come up a lot lately, which is comes out some sort of like, I'm not great at, I don't know how to, I'm not the best at, I need more information, I need more blah, I'm not really, this isn't my zone. Which when you carry that around, ooh, that's heavy. That's like a heavy ball and chain, just carrying that belief system. I've shared before, many years ago, I used to just identify as somebody who's just not a great writer. I'm not a good writer, right? Which was completely underestimating my own capability. When I said that out loud, all I did was solidify that in my brain. If anything, I was saying that to people, so they would be like, yeah, okay, sure. They're agreeing with me, like, what's the upside of that? Where can you take a stair step from saying, I'm not really a great fundraiser, I'm not really a seasoned blah, 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 right? Or I haven't, where can you take one stair step up from that belief on your capability and say, actually, last week I was able to do this and I'm really improving, or I know the next step and I'm willing to try that next step. I don't need to be at the expert advanced level to increase our organization's impact and funding. I just need to take the next best step. So that's capability. Possibility. Where are you underestimating your own possibility or your organization's possibility? And here's what that looks like, which is like where you're like, oh, well, inflation and the economy and this and fatigue and that and staffing and overhead and budget, ergo, we're probably just going to be lucky if we break even this year, if we increase by 3% this year, right? Ugh, how does that feel? That doesn't feel good. I don't even like saying that. Instead of saying, we are disruptors, we are innovators, we are nimble, we are resilient, and we are figuring this out. This is the year we grow exponentially. This is our year. This is our organization's year. This is my year where I get the expertise, the guidance, and the support to exponentially grow this year. Like, how does that feel? Because that doesn't feel like you're going to break even. That doesn't feel like you're going to make a 3% increase year over year, right? Possibility. Now, when you use the same concept of underestimating and you actually use the profit and impact flywheel, I have a training on that in a previous podcast episode about that, which is a 3-step flywheel process: motivate, accelerate, celebrate. And this is what we teach. And this is what we really go through inside the Purpose and Profit Club coaching program. Okay. So you can ask yourself, where am I underestimating my own motivation, right? Where am I kind of phoning it in and not actually nudging and pushing myself forward? Where can I? Where's the low hanging fruit there? What's a 1%, 5% increase I can do there? Accelerate. Accelerate is all about accelerating the results you want faster, right? Getting there faster. So instead of agreeing this is the status quo, this is what we've got, where actually can you accelerate your results? And where can you, instead of stop underestimating what's possible, where can you actually overestimate? Like, even just this idea of overestimating what you're capable of, think about where that would take you in your profit and your impact at the end of the year. If you were just like bold and you were like, you know what, I'm going to overestimate all of this. Now, I want to give you the caveat. I don't mean overestimate in this like grind, have to, 70-hour work weeks, all-nighters. That's not the overestimating. I mean this sort of like, this imperfect action, this bold, daring asks. I mean campaigns that don't look like any other campaigns, stories that don't look like any other stories in your sector, really saying we're standing out and we're shining and we're doing all hands on deck this year, right? And we're going to ruffle some feathers in order to attract all of our perfect fit people, all of our passionate, raving fans. Where is that kind of possibility for you to accelerate and celebrate? So where are you underestimating yourself when it comes to celebration, right? Celebrating the wins, celebrating what you've done, what you've accomplished, your successes personally, professionally, as an organization. Ask yourself, where am I surprised that I pushed forward and actually did that? Like, where have I missed giving myself a pat on the back? Where have I missed celebrating that with my partner, friend, even somebody who's not in your sector, to be like, I did that. I texted my husband yesterday a link to an article and I was like, I did that. I helped make those relationships and connections happen. And now this organization is in the news. It's the best. It's the best feeling. Honoring that celebration as a collective for my client felt so good. Honoring my role in it felt so good. So recently a client said to me, I'm not in those rooms. I'm not in the rooms I need to be in to cultivate new donor prospects. And I don't know how to get into those rooms. Okay. Where could you instead overestimate your capability? Where could you overestimate your possibility, your motivation to get into those rooms? Think about that. Like, that's kind of brain bendy, but okay, right now that's a very underestimating thought to think. And whether it's true or not is not the point, right? You may not be in those rooms, but you don't want to wait for an invitation to get a seat at the table. You literally want to bring BYO chair, bring your own chair into those rooms, bring your own seat at the table. That is how you disrupt. That is how your organization grows. That is how you see huge success in revenue and impact. You got a BYO chair, bring your own chair, get yourself a seat at the table. You're going to have to knock on doors and say, I'm here, I'm coming in, let's go. And you're going to get some people who are like, well, who are you? What do you do? What is this? But that willingness, again, to be nimble and to overestimate yourself is going to serve you very, very well. So to back into how this client could help get into those rooms, as first I said, what rooms do you want to get into, right? Sometimes we say things and we say them without really thinking, well, what are the rooms I want to get into? Where are those rooms? How do I find those rooms? And again, I'd spend 1 hour. I give myself 1 hour to brainstorm the rooms that align with my organization, my mission, where they are. Are they online rooms? Are they Zoom meetings? Are they in person? Like really decide. Are they friends of friends? I mean, where, are they thought leaders? Where are the rooms? Many times you don't know the answer to that question because you've just default said, I can't get into the rooms and that's that. Ask yourself, what are the rooms I want to get into? And then let's get you into those rooms. Let's overestimate. Okay, again, I just want to underscore, not through frantic energy, not through burnout, not through I have to that grind. Like I have to, this feels awful, but like I get to energy, I choose to energy. All right, now we're going to talk about, this is a big one, where you're underestimating your prospects, your donors, and your supporters, your people, where you're underestimating your people, okay? Our upcoming theme inside the Purpose and Profit Club program is all about upgrading donors. So if you want to get in, go to splendidcourses.com/waitlist. We're opening doors very, very soon. And if you want to go through that monthly theme with us, and I will teach you how to upgrade donors, this is for you because many, many people are underestimating their donors. So let's walk through what that looks like. You're underestimating their capability, underestimating their interest in your organization. Like you're deciding their interest level without actually knowing if that's true or not. Underestimating what they're capable of, their capacity to give. That's probably the biggest one. Underestimating, and although I would say it goes like sandwiched together with underestimating the frequency for which they want to give. So if you have a donor who gives $5,000 a year annually, often I'll hear some flavor of that's their ceiling and I can't ask more than once a year, right? Kind of mixing and matching those objections. You'll never know if that's true. That is just a thought. That is just a thought that you're having about them, that you're projecting onto them, a guess, a best guess, right? Versus the only way you'll know if that's true is if you ask them to give more. And if you ask them to give more than once a year. And I don't mean like, oh, well, they get my emails, Christina, and they only give once a year. I mean, direct ask. If you can hear a no, then you ask them. If they say to you, no, then you ask them, okay? So there's a way to do this that feels good and doesn't feel wobbly and doesn't feel graspy. It doesn't feel like this getting energy. I teach this inside the club. But for today's purpose, I just want you to start to think about, there are your VIP donors, okay? Now for your organization, your VIPs may be $1,000 and up. Other organizations I work with, they're $10,000 and up, okay? You get to decide. So think about your VIP donors and think about what you've decided, how you've underestimated them. And there's a bunch of different ways you've underestimated them. One, it could be the frequency in which they want to give, the amount they want to give. Those are 1 and 2. It could be their desire to be more involved. It could be their interest level in different programs or services you have. Like you may not know very much about them, but you've decided that you do. So the best way to figure out the answers to these questions is to book meetings with them. And these meetings are listening meetings. These are asking good questions, being curious and listening more than they are extracting and pitching. Okay. This shouldn't feel like you're giving a presentation in a boardroom or you're giving a presentation in a high school classroom, right? This should feel like you and I are sitting to have coffee and you're asking me really meaningful questions and you are actively listening. And by the end of the coffee, I'm asking you, what can I do? How can I help? And I'm writing your check. Yeah, that's possible. So ask yourself, where am I actually underestimating? So I did this example with donors. Where are you underestimating? And we can let's actually drill this down. Where are you underestimating donors at a under 500 level? So people who give gifts under 500 annually, where are you underestimating them? As somebody who has capacity, I've definitely given gifts under $100 annually, and I have a capacity for so much more. I've just never been cultivated by certain organizations, right? And that's true for millions of people, millions, not thousands, millions of people. They may say, here's $100 here or there, here's $200 here or there. And you've decided, well, that's probably the most that they can give. Okay. So where is that even happening for lower capacity donors that you even decided lower capacity, right? Okay. Where is it also showing up that you're underestimating what I would call social street teamers, partners, or sponsors? So these are those other people who can really help boost your organization's visibility, your organization's endorsements, your organization's funding. It's just a different way that they do it. So a social street team, that is my method that I teach inside the club. That is where you're working with aligned influencers, so social media influencers, digital ambassadors, and anyone who is a brand champion. And we use their networks to leverage visibility and fundraising. Works. It's amazing. Typically, we 2 to 5x campaigns when we use the social street team method. Where are you deciding, though, that somebody is just not an aligned person, or that they'll say no? This business will say no. They won't want to partner with us. Or I know this business has been going through it, so they won't want to be a sponsor for our event. Or that influencer has such a big reach. Why would they even respond to us? They'll say no, right? You hear those? And the truth is, we'll never know the answer to any of those objections or thoughts or beliefs until somebody actually hears the objection. So until that business owner says, no, I can't become an annual sponsor, until that influencer says, no, thank you, until that potential partner says, nah, not for me, I don't want to be a street teamer, right? You're literally just making things up. It's just a guess. And I'd rather you overestimate. I'd rather you guess for your organization that it's actually going to be in your favor than underestimate and think of all the reasons why it's not going to work out. And all this to say, the reason why I know this content so well, this idea so well, is because we all have very negative default brains, right? We skew negative. I'm somebody who loves to problem solve. I love to problem solve before a problem actually exists. So I just want to mirror back to you if you're listening to this episode and you're thinking, holy crap, I do all of this. I'm bad. No, we all have a flavor of this. I have a flavor of this. Part of being a problem solver means that I'm constantly going and I'm thinking about different ways that I can kind of go this way, circumvent that, right? But it's a skill that I've developed because I've been through it. All that to say, it's a skill that I've developed because I've been through it. And now I see when I'm getting ready to do something that maybe feels a little bit expansive or scary, where I actually want to override my default to underestimate myself and instead go to the other side. I'm like, let's overestimate, right? Now, not in a punitive way, not in I'm going to set a big lofty goal and then punish myself if I don't make it, but overestimate my own capability. Of course I can get a seat at the table. Of course I can. Of course that person wants to hear from me. Why wouldn't they? Really going to bat for why they would be a yes instead of going to bat for why they would be a no. Going to bat for why I can do this in an hour instead of 5 hours. Going to bat for why this piece of content, this story, this email, this appeal is exactly great, the exact way it is, and I don't need to proof it another time. You with me? All right. So that's today's episode. Here's a couple of action steps for you. Take some time, think about where you're underestimating yourself, where you're underestimating your prospects or your supporters in your organization, and how you would like to shift that. And start with the ones that feel the most true, the lowest hanging fruit or the most actionable and the most like, ooh, that feels urgent and time sensitive and a shift I can make. So start with those. Second update I want to give you is I told you it's next month's theme. We're going to be talking about upgrading your VIPs, and everyone can be a VIP. So you get to decide who your VIPs are. It's going to be a really fun month inside the club. I'm opening enrollment for a couple days only. So make sure you sign up, splendidcourses.com/waitlist to get notified when I open up enrollment. Okay. We are also going to be moving through Outreach Genius. That's coming soon. I know we talked about it a little bit on the podcast before, but today we talked about all of the people in your world, the people who already exist, the prospects, the donors, the supporters, the volunteers, the social media fans, like all of those people. Outreach Genius is taking those people and then taking people outside your sphere of influence. So strangers, right? And if you've ever said to yourself, we've got to cultivate new donors, we need to cultivate new social street teamers, we need to cultivate new, then you need to make sure that you're inside the club so you get both of these trainings, okay? Because that is where we do both. We work your spheres of influence, and it's a game changer. I very rarely teach this live. I am going to be teaching this live in a sprint process. And when I teach it live, just in one session, we've had people come back and say, I just got a $125,000 upgrade. $125,000. I just booked a meeting that was a $10,000 meeting. So these are not organizations, by the way, that are $10 million budget organizations. These are organizations that are small to mid-sized shops. So this can work for you too. That's what I've got for you today. If you enjoyed the podcast, leave me a review. I met many of you through the last few weeks through the program launch, and it's been really, really fun. And I would love it if you would leave a review, share your thoughts with our community, and I'll see you next time. Hey, high achiever. I know your sights are set on ambitious, world-changing goals. In the Purpose and Profit Club group coaching program, you can get the support, motivation, and strategy to accelerate your impact. I like to say it's where the inner work meets big impact and big funding. Go to splendidcourses.com/waitlist, and you will be first to be notified when we open up doors, and you'll get special bonuses when you join our waitlist. See you inside. Think you've reached out to everyone in your network? Are you out of ideas to get noticed and get funded? I hear you. That's why I'm giving you a chance to steal my prospect list. Yes, you can generate leads for your nonprofit or impact-driven business. Grab my mini training and list delivered to your inbox instantly. Go to splendidcourses.com/prospect.